My first date with Sharon Stevens, or Sherry, she was known when we started dating.
Well, it really wasn't a date because two of my roommates were dating two of his roommates. And they kept telling me, well, there's another girl down there where our girlfriends have their apartment, and we think that you'd like her.
And they told me, well, you ought to date Sherry Stevens. She's really a good-looking, pretty gal. And so I called her up on the telephone and I said, hey, I want to come over.
And I said, oh, and who are you? And he said, well, I'm, Dennis's roommate. And so I said, well, okay, come on down.
And I said, well, I'm Marlor. I want to come over and play some music for you. I'll bring my portable record player over and play some Dixieland.
So when he knocked on the door, he had a half-bushel basket full of Dixieland records and a little portable record player.
Because I really liked Dixieland music then.
And I'd never heard of Dixieland music. In Holden, where I live, we were kind of retarded musically because we didn't know anything about other music.
And she said, what's that? I said, well, you'll find out when I come over. So I did go over and meet her and played her some Dixieland music.
Then he wanted to know if, he could see me again, and so I don't think that we really dated after that.
So we dated after that, and she didn't know at first that I played the piano, and she liked the one guy she was going with. He was a great dancer, and so in the end I figured I'd better do good. So in the end I figured I played better than he danced.
Then we started dating after that.
I was 2.5 years younger than Sherry Stevens, and I thought if I tell her how old I am, that'll be the end of our dating. So I don't think I told her how old I was till we got engaged. I figured that'd be too late.
So when we were dating, and I don't know if they do it nowadays, but if you wore the boy's ring, then that meant that you were boyfriend, girlfriend, or kind of
Going
steady. And so I had it on my finger, and of course I had layers of tape around it so it would stay on. And we went up to Midvale to have dinner at his house, and Grandma saw that I was wearing his ruby ring, and she didn't say anything to me, but she thought it had a fit, didn't she?
No, she did have.
She had a fit.
Oh, it's the fourth finger.
Oh, well, I thought that was your fourth finger. There. One night we were at sacrament meeting, and we weren't being very spiritual because we were writing notes back and forth to each other. He'd write one and then I'd write one. So he wrote me a note and it says, will you marry me? And I wrote back and I said, okay, yes. And he wrote back and he said, uh-oh, what do I do now? Anyway, so we were still dating, and then one night we were downtown to a movie or something, and on the way back we were walking because we didn't have a car, and he just stopped and opened up this ring box, and that was for my diamond. And what is funny about that is I was dating another boy from Canada. His name was Dave LeBaron, and he worked at the jewelry store down in Provo. And he told Grandpa, he said, well, I bought this for Sharon, but I don't think she's interested, so I'm not going to give it to her. Would you like to buy it from me? And so Grandpa bought my diamond from my other boyfriends that bought it.
When we were going to get married, she had decided after going to BYU for a year she wanted to travel, so she was going to go work for the civil service in Germany.
And so I passed the tests and was just waiting for an opening in Germany to come up. And so I went home for the weekend to Holden and went down to Delta to see my grandma works.
And by the way, her grandma said to her, if you love that boy, you won't go traipsing off to Germany. You'll stay and marry him.
And she was saying, are you still going to Germany? And I said, well, I'm just waiting for an opening. And she said, well, you're engaged to that boy. If you love him, you stay home and marry him and don't go traipsing off to Germany.
Finally, I told her, look, if you really decide you want to travel, I'll tell you what, I'll guarantee that if you don't go to Germany and you stay home and marry me, then I will make sure you get to see the world.
So I thought, well, I think you're right.
Well, we got married, we were married by her bishop in Holden, Utah, February 11th, 1956. So we have been married now 63, 64 years.
They called it chivalrying then, where they'd either steal the bride or the groom on their wedding night. And then one of his friends said, well, I think I know where they've taken him. They've taken him to, because we were going to go south on our honeymoon, and then taken him north, clear to Nephi, which was 50 miles the other direction. And so by the time we found them and my husband on my wedding night, so then we got a motel and stayed in Nephi.
The great thing about Sherry, when I became infatuated with her. I loved her and I chased her to death before she would marry me. She has the greatest smile in the world. And I also just love her hair. Her hair used to be dark brown. It was auburn. And it was just beautiful because of the natural curls. And she still has that natural curly hair. And she keeps it so that it's perfect all the time. Her hair is just beautiful. And you know, that's hard to beat when you have someone you can love that is like that. Not only that, she's a kind person. She's very prone to be complimentary to everyone and not use harsh words. And regardless of the situation, she always is able to find something positive about what's going on.
What attracted me to him was his, not just the aggressiveness, but his energy, because he was involved in so many things on campus. He was on, he was a reporter for the Scroll, and he was also a disc jockey for the BYU radio channel. I was very impressed with his musical knowledge, more than just the Dixieland, because found out he played the piano, and so whenever we found a piano, he'd play the piano for me, and he was just fun to be with. He was just enjoyable to be with, and it was always exciting, and I never had a dull moment in our life together. It's important to like doing the same things. We love to travel, and we share that.
My wife has contracted a serious disease. It's called travelitis. I think we've been to just about all the countries in the world now, except we haven't been to Timbuktu or Kathmandu.
Well, I think what's important is that you respect the other person's likes and dislikes. He goes to musicals with me and does things that I like, and I go fishing with him, but I don't fish. And so you have to respect the other person's likes and dislikes.
I go
Sure.
to Shakespeare with her.
Yeah, you have to share, and you have to do things for each other.
Gospel-centered family is unbeatable, and there's no substitute for it, really. And we found that in the lives of all our children, and we have quite a posterity now. And it's been wonderful to see our children go to the temple and have the same values that we have.